Deep inside a sub-zero ice factory, running at 10 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Before a single block of funeral ice can be frozen, the water itself must be transformed, stripped of minerals, particles, and bacteria. Before purification begins, the incoming water is tested for total dissolved solids, piece. Bacterial contamination testing required a 48-hour incubation period, but the water cannot wait that long. Production. The first mechanical barrier is a 5-micron sediment filter, coarse enough to allow water to flow freely, but fine enough what the laboratory tests as dissolved solids becomes visible here as rust, silt, and mineral scale, the physical evidence of why municipal water must be filtered.
Reverse osmosis removes dissolved solids at the molecular level. The membrane pores are so small that water.
With the sediment filters operating at full capacity, the water now carries no particles larger than 5 microns. The reverse osmosis membrane array operates at 200 pounds per square inch, enough pressure to force water molecules through pores that are 1/10. The permeate water leaving the reverse osmosis membranes contain fewer than 10 parts per million of dissolved solids, so pure that it is aggressive to metal pipes.
For every 3 gallons of purified water the reverse osmosis system produces, it generates 1 gallon of concentrated osmosis. Ultraviolet light at 254 nanometers shatters the DNA of any microorganism that passes through the chamber.
The UV lamp produces light at a wavelength of 254 nanometers, a frequency that is absorbed.
The quartz sleeve must be cleaned every month because even the purest water leaves a microscopic film of minerals on any surface it touches.
After sediment filtration, reverse osmosis, and ultraviolet sterilization, the water is now chemically pure and biologically sterile. 10,000 gallons of purified water, enough to fill 130 funeral ice molds, sits here in the holding.
Purified water cannot simply sit stagnant. It must be kept in constant gentle motion.
When the production shift begins, purified water is drawn from the holding tank through a 4-inch valve and carried to the mold filling station. Before a single drop of purified water enters the mold, every aluminum can must be inspected for scratches, dents, and surface contamination.
The mold interior is cleaned with the same purified water that will be frozen into ice. No detergents. The release agent is applied in a film less than 10 microns thick, so thin that it adds nothing to the ice. Contributes
50 gallons of purified water fill each mold, water that has been filtered to 6 parts per million of dissolved solids, sterilized by ultraviolet light. As the mold settles into the brine, the temperature difference between the 45-degree water and the 10-degree below zero brine begins driving heat transfer immediately.
The air agitation system is what separates clear funeral ice from cloudy commercial ice. The rising bubbles push
things. Before the freezing process can be considered underway, every mold must be checked for level and submersion depth. Within the first hour of submersion, a thin skin of ice forms on the mold walls, crystal clear and optically perfect because the water contains nothing to cloud it. The brine tank holds 18 molds simultaneously, each at a different stage of the 72-hour freeze. 12 thermocouples distributed throughout the brine tank feed temperature data to the control panel, and the Vilter 440 series ammonia The Vilter 440 series ammonia compressor has been the standard of industrial ice making for over. At 48 hours, the directional freezing has concentrated all dissolved gases into a small liquid core just 4 inches across. At 65 hours, all 18 molds have reached core temperatures below 28 degrees Fahrenheit. The ice. The manual probe check is the oldest quality control procedure in the ice factory. A steel rod pushed through the block.
Clear to engage. Pins engaged on mold 1. Lift when ready.
After 72 hours at 10 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, the mold is pulled from the brine.
The defrost tank is the gentlest stage of the entire process.
50-degree water.
The first touch of a finished funeral block reveals everything about the 3-day process that created it. Quality inspection is the final gate. Every block is examined under The hydraulic splitter applies 2,000 pounds of force, but it is the natural cleavage planes of the frozen crystal structure that separate cleanly along the grain. Every block is weighed and stamped before it leaves the factory floor. The weight confirms that the block meets the customer's. The packaging is not just for handling, it is a vapor barrier that prevents sublimation, which would cause the block to lose weight and change dimensions during storage.
Pick ticket 1523, pull 2 blocks from batch 247 for Johnson & Sons Springfield, delivered tomorrow afternoon on Route 3.
The blocks leave the factory the same way they arrived as water, in a truck, on a schedule, destined for a specific purpose. The finished goods cold storage room holds the factory's inventory at 5 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Seen from above, the harvest becomes something more than heavy industry. It becomes a slow choreography of action. The floor scale is checked with certified calibration weights at the start of every shift.
The heat sealer is cleaned after every shift because a single flake of burned plastic caught on the wire can cause an uneven seal.
In the cold storage room at 5 degrees below 0, the funeral blocks wait in silent rows. The refrigerated truck maintains the cargo at 5 degrees below 0 for the entire journey, a cold chain that must not be broken. In the quiet of the prep room, the funeral blocks do their work, absorbing heat, maintaining cold. In the prep room, the ice block surface tells the story of its making, the smoothness of the directional freeze, the clarity of the purified water. The truck returns to the factory empty, its refrigeration unit still running, because in 12 hours it will be loaded again, another batch of funeral blocks.
300 pounds of crystal clear ice, 72 hours of directional freezing, 3 stages of water. The bacterial culture plate for batch 240. The permeate flow meter is the RO system's heartbeat. As long as the float hovers at 47 gallons.
The UV intensity sensor is calibrated every quarter against a reference standard traceable to the National Institute of Standards and Technology. The air agitator holes are only 1/16 of an inch in diameter, small enough to create the fine bubble directional freezing.
The brine tank never stays empty for long. As soon as the harvest crew pulls a finished block, the fill crew lowers.
Even the pallet jacks are inspected daily, because a pallet jack that fails while carrying a 300-pound funeral block could drop the block and shatter it.
The electric pallet jack is the gentle giant of the factory. It lifts 300-pound block.
Every block is scanned as it is pulled from cold storage. The barcode links the block to its batch. 12 blocks on 6 pallets, destined for 6 funeral homes across the region. The truck carries not just ice. Every day, before the trucks roll, the cold storage supervisor counts every block in the vault.
The pre-trip inspection is the driver's promise that the cold chain will hold, that the tires will not blow, the liftgate will not fail.
The truck leaves the factory at sunrise, carrying a cargo of frozen preservation.
The delivery is the final step in the factory's responsibility. The block is placed, the manifest is signed, and the ice begins its silent work of preservation. From the factory to the funeral home, from the water to the ice, from the workers' bands to the